House Speaker Nancy Pelosi told Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelenskyy, "We are with you till this fight is over." Meanwhile, our latest ABC News and Washington Post poll shows most Americans favor increasing support for Ukraine. 76% say the U.S. should send more humanitarian support, and 67% say the U.S. should increase economic sanctions on Russia. 55% say the U.S. should provide more military support for Ukraine, even as 80% say they are concerned about a wider war or the possible use of nuclear weapons by Russia. ABC's Marcus Moore joins me live now from Kyiv, Ukraine, with more. Marcus, how critical is the support of the U.S. government and the public for the Ukrainian resistance right now?
Well, Diane, it is highly critical. It's certainly something that the Ukrainians have requested and implored the U.S. government and Western countries supply this support since the very beginning of this war. And one of the things that we've heard from some of the fighters here is that they wouldn't still be in this fight if it weren't for the support from the U.S. and other Western countries. They're in the midst of this battle with the Russians, a David versus Goliath scenario, as it has been described in the past. And certainly this conflict, this war continues to unfold now in its 68th day, as Ian pointed out. And the Ukrainians are still holding on, particularly in the east. After they found success here in Kyiv, successfully pushing the Russians out from their offensive here, the Russians pivoting and then focusing their attention out to the east, where we have seen most of the heaviest fighting here in the past several weeks as this war rages on. Diane.
And Speaker Pelosi is also meeting with U.S. allies in Poland. What are the next steps for NATO when it comes to supporting Ukraine and putting pressure on Russia?
Well, Diane, as you know, certainly as far as the UN is concerned, or NATO, I should say, they want to avoid any escalation of this conflict. No one wants this to go beyond where it is right now, as horrible and as ugly as it is. They don't want it to get any worse. So certainly as NATO, the NATO countries that are neighboring Ukraine, they're watching very closely and trying to contain the violence and the fighting that we have seen here. And NATO has been supporting Ukraine, the NATO countries, Poland, for example, which has become a major hub for the humanitarian and also the military aid that has been flowing into Ukraine. So we can anticipate that those efforts will continue in the days ahead, as well as the military aid that the United States has been providing and other Western countries. Most of the equipment that has been provided to Ukraine has been of a defensive nature. But one of the things the Ukrainians have been requesting and urging from the West is more heavy equipment, howitzer missiles, for example, or howitzer artillery that will allow them not only to defend themselves and maintain the defensive posture, particularly in the east, but also carry out counterstrikes as needed against the Russians. So we can anticipate that those efforts will continue. Ukraine will once again urge the West and the U.S. to provide those weapons moving forward, Diane.
And Marcus, Ukrainian officials say Russian forces resumed shelling at the steel plant in Mariupol, where a Ukrainian military unit is making a last stand. Now, we're hearing that more civilians were evacuated, but roughly 1,000 are said to still be trapped. What's the latest there?
Yeah, Mariupol has been a place that we have focused a lot of attention because in many ways it has represented the last stand in that city for the Ukrainians. And as we've been reporting, that there has been intense fighting there. And in the midst of that fighting, there have been scores of civilians, women and children, who have taken refuge in a steel plant there in Mariupol. And they have been stuck in those bunkers there for safety as Russia's bombardment has continued. In fact, over the weekend, the wives of some of the fighters who have been killed there held a demonstration calling for more to be done to rescue the people who have been trapped there. And I want you to listen to Victoria, one of the young ladies who lost her husband in the midst of this war, what she told us. Take a listen.
People can't to see a sky. They see, yes, they see bunkers. They have not eat, they have not water. Everything what I heard from him, it just cried my heart.
Diane, you get a real sense of the pain that Victoria has been enduring. Again, she lost her husband who died defending this country from this Russian aggression. And then in the days that have transpired since, we have heard of the horrors of the people who have been trapped in that plant, trying to survive. Children who have no access to, very little access to food and water and medical needs. So as we've heard, Diane, you heard Ian reporting, they were able to carry out some evacuations, and more of those evacuations are expected today and in the days ahead.
All right, Marcus Moore. Thank you, Marcus. Stay safe.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.